Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. This is Stars, and it's an old favorite of mine from 1995. I think it handles shipbuilding quite well. I think it handles um, random events really well. And the unique selling point for me of this game is something called the Mystery Trader, and we will get into that as it happens. But the race customization is really cool, and the ideas behind it underpin the 4X generation of games that came out in those 1990s with, yeah, a lot of fun stuff and really underpinned the whole genre. Not just this game, Master Orion as well is kind of, you know, the granddaddy of Space 4X, and especially Master Orion 2, which I think Master Orion came out like a couple of years before this, like 93 ish, and then I think the the sequel came out a couple of years later, maybe around this same time. I think that was Microprose that made Master of Orion, if I remember, who did a lot of good strategy games back there, which ultimately this is. This was, I think, 1995, and as shareware before it got picked up by Empire Entertainment, no, Empire Interactive. That's right, Empire Interactive, which is where I found the game through them because they put out a couple of fun. Well, there's a couple of fun articles about them and this game in one of the magazines I was reading when I was quite young. So, like I say, 1995 is a 4X game: explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. You explore the world, whatever that may be. For this, it's space. You expand and fill as much of that as you want to. You exploit the resources that you find along the way, and you exterminate your enemies. Now, even though this is a couple of years after Master of Orion, and some other games kind of in the genre also included diplomacy and talking between races, this one doesn't really do that. And um, I think that's probably the biggest failing this game has. But on the flip side, it really was designed to be played multiplayer, which back then was really difficult. You had to share game files over email. Everybody take their turn, send it in to one person who was running the game as the host, and they would basically process all those turns, load them all up, and then generate the next turn, and then they'd send those new game files out to everybody else. And that's kind of how the game was designed to be played. So diplomacy was between real players over email, phone call, or in real life. So it wasn't really a big thing with this. So you're not going to see a lot of diplomacy or anything like that. We're going to find other races and try and exterminate them, or they're going to find us and try and exterminate us. That's kind of how this goes. But as I say, it's a space-based 4X, 1995, graphically dated. This is the latest version I could find. I've had to run it in DOSBox. You're going to have black bars on the side. I get it. If it's not entertaining, then you're free to look around for other games, and there's others that do it very, very well these days. Endless Space 2 is kind of a fun one. I haven't played it, but I've seen little bits of it being played, and it does remind me more of the Master Orion side of things. So does the remake of Master Orion from I think 2016. That might be right. Somewhere around there, I think they did the remake of Master Orion, um, which is the fourth in the Master Orion series. We had one was good, but kind of different from what I liked. Two was fantastic and is the highlight of the series for me, and I think most other players. Three was not really done well enough, and a little bit of a. I've got a little bit of an issue with that one in particular. And then the remake wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It wasn't in the same kind of spirit. It's a little bit like going from Fallout 1 and 2 to Fallout 3. But yeah, I'm not sure the depth is there with Master Orion remake, reboot, whatever it is. But a good effort nonetheless, and at least captures some of the flavor of those original games. Apart from that, Endless Space 2, I would say the biggest one of all is going to be Stellaris. It does lack a little bit of the humor and quirkiness at times that I'm looking for in some games, and that stuff like Stars and Master of Orion 2 did provide. So, there we go. It's not going to look good. There's going to be 2D graphics and 2D combat that I'm not even going to watch combat because it's just pixel art moving about, really. It's not even pixel art, but it's basically picture files just moving from one tile to another and a red line coming out of them to shoot. So, yeah, not really the most interesting, I think, but the strategy, the race building, the replayability, because all the customizable options, the different ship types, the ways you can build ships, and the fact that, the opponents are kind of very varied and you can play in a number of different ways, and all that kind of replayability is also a strength of this. Plus the mystery trader, and we will, I promise, get into the mystery trader when one appears, and it will probably break the game in a slight way, and that's what I love about this game. So, without further ado, we're going to jump into a new game. The game is free. You can't buy it anymore, but it's abandoned. You can go over to starsfact.com and get a copy of it, and there'll also be a serial which you'll have to put in if you're playing 2.6. I think on 2.7 you don't. Easy is pretty easy. Standard is not that much of a step up from easy. Harder, I would say, would be more of a normal game mode. An expert, if you're playing in certain ways to stack the deck against you, can be really difficult, especially the races you choose to play against. And that's something I'm going to have to kind of delve into. I'm going to play on standard. I'm going to play on a small universe, which is what's recommended by the game at first. And it's just because it's going to be a quicker first game. If people are interested in seeing more of this game, let me know, and I can maybe look into a longer or more difficult playthrough. But I'm going to play a style that I liked to play back in the day. I will say it's been a good 15 or 20 years before I've even picked this game up. Since I picked this game up, sorry, and I've tried it for like 30 minutes just to remember the layouts and stuff. I think I'm pretty familiar. And I've read up a little bit on just a few basic beginner tips and also about the AIs, because that's super important, because there's one thing you don't want to play against if it's your first game, because it will drive you mad. That being said, we're going to get into it and look at the races first. There are 6 different races: humanoids, rabinoids, insectoids, nucleotids, siliconoids, and antitherals. I can never remember what antitherals are. I always think that they're like spiritual for some reason. I'm not quite sure what they're supposed to represent. Siliconoids are rock people. Nucleotids are like nucleus, like cells and amoebas and that kind of idea. Insectoids are insects, of course. Rabbits and humans speak for themselves. You'll get advantage points. You can spend up to 50 leftover points if you've got plus points. We've got plus 25 right now on certain things. I'm going to go through them in reverse order and just show you a little bit about each race very quickly. And feel free to pause at any time to read what's on the screen, because I will not be able to do that. Because it's going to take too long to go fully over it. But the Antitherials then. Space demolition is their primary trait. There are 10 of these traits. There are only a few races. That means some aren't going to be showcased. I'll showcase those when we're building our race. But we're going to start off with space demolition. Minefields, you get better ships, you get better mine laying robots, you get mine laying ships to begin with, you can move through mines quicker. Basically, if it involves minefields, you're going to be better than everybody else. So if you want to play with that kind of thing, remote detonate them, space demolition might be for you. Then there are lesser racial traits. This is all the stuff that you can choose from. Some are going to cost you points. If you look at this total, oh, that's a big drop. That's 101 points to pick up improved fuel efficiency. Oh, it's 12 for regenerating shields there. Oh, it's nothing here for the bleeding edge technology. I gained 37 points for clicking low starting population. These are kind of going to change with each race, and the way you build is going to give you, as I say, a lot of replayability. And then you've got planets which fall into different categories of suitability on a percentage scale based on these three things: gravity, temperature, and the radiation. Gravity and temperature are more common to be in the middle. Each planet is weighted to be more in the middle of the ranges. Radiation is randomized and can be anywhere. So, the one that's going to cause you the most problem might be radiation. So these are quite interesting because, they're immune to temperature, but they like heavy radiation and low gravity. Cool. You can see you've got a growth rate, you've got planets that'll be habitable to you. And if you increase or decrease some of these, and they all cost points, or move the bars left or right, you can see it'll change in certain ways, and the number of planets available to you will probably change. There are two things each planet does. Number one, it already has minerals underground. It'll have a certain concentration. I will show you that when we get to our planet and explain it in more details. But there are a certain number of each of three minerals underground. You're going to need to build mines to get those minerals on the surface. Then you can use those minerals to actually build things. One of the things you're going to want to build when you've got mines to get that above is going to be factories. Factories cost one of these three minerals to build, germanium. So here you can see that the only thing it's asking about is factories and mines, because that is your entire production, apart from building star bases, ships, terraforming, mineral packets, or mineral alchemy. We'll come to some of those a little later on. But basically, you want to generate resources for as few colonists as possible. You want factories to produce as many resources as possible, and them to cost less resources to build. And for 10,000 colonists to operate as many as possible. And same with the mines, and the factories cost 1 night. You want all these things, but there are also breakpoints where it becomes kind of good and kind of bad to spend the number of points. So we'll kind of get into that again when we're building our race, but I want this to be a first overview. But I want to show kind of everything that this race does in a little more detail so we can breeze through the others. And then research. 6 different types of research. You can choose to have some cost less resources. So your factories are going to produce something called resources. Those also count towards your research if you're not building anything. Any leftover gets thrown into research. You can also choose to have it taken off the top to begin with. That's not recommended. We'll explain that when we get into our race again, when we're in the game. But you can choose to have it cost less production. That costs points. You can choose to have it cost a lot extra. These actually are the same point cost. They balance each other out. Doesn't look like it, but they do. Now, what you can do is if you've got some 75% extra research fields, you can take this little button. It's going to cost you some points, but you basically get 3 free tech levels in each of the one that costs 75. So it's a balancing act. So that are the antithereals. Silicanoids are hyper-expansionists. They want to colonize. They get a cheap colony ship and they spam it out and take multiple planets very quickly, more quickly than you can eradicate them. Your only real chance is by either killing them off early or finding their home planet and eradicating that, and then working out where the next biggest colony is that can produce those ships, kill that, until you're left with colonies that haven't really got the production running yet to be able to send out a lot of colony ships. It's very frustrating, and it's the reason why we're going to be handpicking our races to play against, and it's not going to be one that's got hyper expansion. That is not really difficult. You can beat it, but it's so annoying. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I really, really do. Packet physics is also not recommended for beginners because that's annoying in a different way. We'll talk about that. We've got a race coming up, but hyper expansion by far the worst to play against, in my opinion, and not really that fun to play as, in my opinion, because you're just literally sending out. You're just colonizing everywhere as quick as you can. And yeah, some of those colonies are going to be really bad. You're not going to be able to defend them. And it's just basically grow quicker than they can kill you off, I think is kind of the strategy. I don't like playing that way. They've got a couple of things there you can keep in mind where we look. They're immune to everything because, they're rocks. They don't care. They've got a slightly different build for how their production's going to look. And there you can see their research. So it's all kind of cool. It's all kind of fun. Yeah, if I go that and then that, you see we're back at 9. So even though it doesn't look like it costs the same, by choosing one and the opposite elsewhere, it does actually balance out. I don't think the numbers add up properly when I look at it, but yeah. Nucleotids are super stealth. Again, anything to do with stealth, they're good at. Their ships, built-in stealth. They get different kinds of stealth items. Cargo doesn't decrease it. They've got some unique types of ship which help with stealth, or thematically are attached to stealth, I should say. And you've also got items you can put in the ship which give you stealth even more. Plus, you can steal stuff with your scanners. Kind of like a teleporter from Star Trek. That kind of idea. You're close enough to a planet or a ship, you can take what's in stores. And you can go through minefields quicker, so maybe that's an escape for a stealth. I'm not really sure. They get a couple of things there. They're pretty good as well in terms of planet. They can almost colonize everywhere. That's their production. And everything costs 75% extra. Because they got to pay for all these extra cool things they've got. Insectoids. Warmonger. We like to fight. Pretty much it. Like everything that gears you up for war, that's what they do. You can pause and read this, but basically, it's war. Don't really like them, but they're also not the worst to play as or against. And again, quite decent in the way they're set up. But overall, again, not my favorite. Humanoids, jack of all trades, they just get extra research. They get some scanners built into their ships, and a penetrating scanner as well. Not a default, but a penetrating one, which means they can see what's inside of a ship. They can see a planet rather than have to be in orbit of a planet with a normal scanner. So there's a lot of benefit to having a penetrating scanner. Other races can get it, but Jack of all trades gets it for free, and you can grow a little more. So it's interesting. They don't really have any traits. They have the bog standard beginning planetary rates. They got the production rates. This is your bog standard basic race humans. That's kind of what they are. And we will be building off that, but I wanted to leave Rabbitoid towards the end because Interstellar Travelers, really fun. Really fun. Yeah, so basically they start with 2 planets, and they have stargates that they can basically travel between instantly. So it's really interesting and really fun, and you can kind of just send ships out in far directions and bridge the gap with these stargates, which get better over time. They're really nice and really fun. We won't be playing with them today, but the Rabbitoids are kind of cool. They got total terraform as well, which I also quite like. And yeah, not too bad. On the planets, 1 in 9 are inhabitable. Will be habitable, but they can travel really quickly between them once they've got the stargates up. Pretty normal there, and not too much different there, I feel. And then to build our race, I'm going to go off humanoid because, as I say, they're kind of the default. So we're going to be the almonds. Surface mineral is what I like to leave my points over on. I'm not sure how close we're going to be. I'm trying to remember a specific build that I read that seemed very familiar to me from back in the day. Oh, I was wondering where my points went. I chose claim adjuster. Let me go over some of these. So, was Warmonger's attack in the strength is defense. They don't have smart bombs, which only kill people and leave buildings intact. So if you're going to invade, you can kill off all the people and land your ships. These people will not allow you to do that. They're peace-loving, defense, and everything else is built around that defense. Again, not a bad play style, just not really the one I like to play. And packet physics, the one that we said we come back and talk about. There is a build for this, which is kind of interesting, but basically, those minerals we talked about earlier, you can package them up and throw them across the universe at other planets. Your own planets, if you've got a device capable of catching that packet, that'll be quite cool. Mine minerals on one planet that's got a lot of them, throw them to a planet that's trying to produce something that doesn't have them. Quite cool. If they aren't fully caught, they do have a chance of terraforming the planet. This could go in either direction, but I think it's generally positive if it's your own planet. Don't quote me on that. I don't know enough about it. It's been a long time since I've even attempted to play this trait. But you can throw them at enemy planets. And if they don't have a mass driver rated at a certain warp speed, the same warp speed you're throwing them at, it's going to crash into that planet and kill people and destroy buildings. And yeah, if you've got 3 or 4 planets that are just like super mining, or you're mining a ton of planets you're not colonizing around them, funneling all the resources, all those minerals into these 2 or 3 planets, packaging them and throwing them at enemy planets is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to do a lot of damage. Kind of an interesting, fun one to do. One of my favorites is alternate reality. We're not from this plane, and we're going to live on star bases, not the planet. There's a calculation which mines at a certain rate. Production is tied to that, and your population is tied to that, and so on and so forth. But basically, the more people you have, the more resources, the more minerals you get, and the more resources you get. Now, you will be able to get the Death Star, which is the best star based in the game. It's beautiful, but you've got to play out in reality. The one thing I would say about this that kind of sucks a little bit, you will be putting your people at risk. Because normally, you take out a star base, the planet's unprotected, and then the enemy's got to bomb you or send troops down to invade you. And, that's going to take time, and you've got another chance to destroy their ships, break the blockades, etc., etc., etc. If you're playing as alternate reality and they destroy your starbase, well, that's all your people dead. Not a percentage, like dropping bombs. Not a chance, like a fight when they land people. No, the starbase gets destroyed and everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. So, kind of a glass cannon, but I do love playing as them. So the last one is what we want to play as. It's a claim adjuster. It's terraforming. There's a bunch of cool stuff, but basically the only thing you really want to know, all of your planets have a 10% chance every single year of getting a bit closer to your ideal ranges, or exact middle of your ideal range, in one of those three categories: gravity, radiation, and I'm blanking on the third. Temperature. So 10% chance for each planet in turn. This one has 10% chance, this one has 10% chance, this one has 10%. And just one of those three figures on the planet, if that 10% chance comes in, will just improve. Now, it does say here, terraforming costs you nothing. What it means to say is, terraforming costs you nothing and is immediate without you having to ask for it being done. Literally, your science decide, oh, theoretically, we can do this to improve our planet by 7%. A normal race would have to go and do that and pay a resource cost and actually do the terraforming. That can take a couple of years. This rate just, it's done. Oh, we know how to do it. Oh, it's done. Oh, this planet wasn't very nice. Oh, it's now a paradise. And it's kind of crazy and fun to play with that in mind. So I do like playing claim adjusters. Also, when we leave a planet, it'll go back to what it was before we took over. So it'll remove all of the terraforming and just be the base stats for the planet. So if we do get invaded and someone else takes over a planet, it's probably not going to be as nice as it was when we were on it. Now, they might be looking for different things, but ultimately, I find that quite fun. You can terraform from orbit. There's no point in it. I'll explain when we're in the game a little more. But we're going to do claim adjuster. And then the lesser racial traits. Regenerating shields is basically your shields are better, but armor is worse. It gives you points because overall it's a slight hindrance. Leaves you very vulnerable to torpedoes and missiles. But it's a very viable way to play, and actually is a good way to get a few cheap points if you need a few cheap points. Mineral alchemy, really good when there's not a lot of minerals in the world, or right at the end of games, when you've probably mined and spent everything and you need to build a ship you don't have minerals for. That's where mineral alchemy comes in. But I do believe it's something like a 1 in... It might even be a 1 in 25 chance or a 1 in 26 chance that... sorry, not 1 in 26. A 26 to 1 ratio of production to minerals generated. And then this will turn it into whatever that is. I don't know. It might be 1 in 32, actually. Now I think about it. Which means you're now operating a 1 in 8 ratio. So it's not a huge upgrade. It's not that fun. It's meh. Ultimate recycling. You get a ton more stuff back when you scrap fleets. You're just not going to be scrapping fleets very often. It's going to be more useful late game and minerals may be a bit more rare. And just, yeah, not that interesting. Bleeding edge technology is going to cost you twice as much to build something using either a ship design or a part, or to terraform when you unlock that terraforming tech, until you get one level higher. Um, yeah. And like I say, the mineralization is a little slow as well. Like, I don't love it. I don't love it. I think it's a waste of 23 points because this is gonna kill you at all levels of game. Early is gonna absolutely destroy you. Late game, when you need that latest tech to survive or to beat an enemy, is gonna kill you. Don't bother. Generalized research, 50% to your what the field you're trying to do, and 15% each to the other 5. Net positive gain, but you're not really going to be able to dictate where you want the research to go to, and for certain things and at certain times in the game, you're probably going to need that flexibility. For 13 points, not really worth it unless you don't really care about tech, which you can ignore in certain builds, but not for me. No advanced scanners, there's a reason why it's so many points, because you never have planet penetrating scanners. And that is something that is super useful towards the mid game, I would say. You will get double the normal range of scanners, which is nice, but you will need to put penetrating scanners on ships, and you're going to need to unlock those. You're going to need to get far down the tech tree. So unless you're really gearing up to go down one branch of science to get those, not really needed, I would say. Advanced remote mining is the opposite of only basic, which we'll get to, but advanced remote mining, you get extra mining type ships, you get extra mining robots to put in them, and you get extra mining ships at the start. I don't really have an issue with mining. I don't really do it a lot. I tend to just mine my planets, and that's pretty much been enough for me by the time I'm in war with everybody else in the galaxy. Whether those wars are going to stretch on long enough, depending how big the galaxy is, etc., different mileages may occur. But I don't feel that pressing need to like dedicate to mining for that. Cheap engines, yeah, half cost. But if you go past Warp 6, which you're going to want to do about a good third of the time, easily, and especially towards the end of the game, when you're trying to save a planet or trying to get somewhere or trying to catch up to something, um, yeah, there's a 10% chance you just don't move that year. So, yeah, not worth it. Total terraforming comes close. Terraforming costs 30% less with a claim adjuster race like we are. That's kind of a nothing because it costs us nothing to begin with. So, whatever. The max you can research to terraform is usually 15%. This will put that up to 30. Is it worth it? Maybe, but you're really going to kill this even worse than we're about to even get to the point where 30 in all categories would give you the same improvements or put you in the same place as 15 will without this. So the points we gain here from, or points we lose here, sorry, from that are going to be so costly here that it's not going to be worth 15 points or the extra 15% of terraforming potential. Plus, it's going to make you start harder. So we're not doing those. What we are doing, and I'm second guessing myself, but what we are doing is low starting population. You get 30% fewer colonists. It's not the end of the world. You get a decent chunk of points for it. If you're able to grow quickly, this will not matter. And we're about to set ourselves up with some of these points to grow quicker. It's not going to be enough to offset what we're going to do, but that doesn't matter. It's only going to affect you right at the beginning, and you're easily going to be able to rebound from it. Improve star bases. You get the Star Dock, which is a small space station, and that will allow you to build on your colonies really quickly. Just get some defense up there and a shipyard up there. It'll allow you just to cover your bases, pun intended. You also get the Ultra Station. I don't think it's that great. It is technically the best in the game that anyone can get, because you need to be alternate reality to get the Death Star. I don't love it. 20% cloaking is fun, but not really anything crazy. Star bases costing 20% less is going to get those colonies or star bases really quickly and upgrade them really quickly. And there is a little bit of an arms race when you're colonizing to get your defenses in place really quickly if you're at war. For the points, it's not a ton. It's almost the same. We'll take it for cheaper star bases on the swing of that. I'm absolutely fine with that. Only basic remote mining. Again, I just said I don't think we're going to worry about mining too much, and I never have. We'll only have the mini miner, which is the smallest type of mining ship. That's fine. Really, the bigger ships just allow you to put more mining modules on it, and that can be overturned by building double the amount of ships or triple the amount of ships for mining, which are going to be cheap enough at the point where we're going to feel that difference in the mid to late game to not matter if we remote mine at all. So we gain a ton of points back again, and maximum population per planet is increased by 10%. So that's going to be great. Our homeworld's going to go from 1 million to a 1.1 million homeworld when all maxed out. We love that. We might not be starting with a big population, but we can grow to big things. And the last two, no ram scoop engines. That gains us a bunch more points. If you go, you can only go up to warp 5 without burning fuel with some engines. There are engines which go up to warp 7 without costing you any fuel, because they synthesize the hydrogen in space and turn it into fuel. We're not allowed those engines. Those are the ram scoops. We're not allowed ram scoop engines. But we will, at one point later on in the game, unlock the Interspace 10. And it's a really good engine. And you can travel at warp 10 without taking damage, which I don't think there's another engine that can, unless it's from the Mystery Trader. Again, we'll talk about them. But to offset that, we're going to take improved fuel efficiency, because it gives us the Fuel Miser, which is something that doesn't cost fuel until you surpass warp 5, so it fits perfectly. And the Galaxy Scoop isn't bad either. But your propulsion will go up by 1, and we use less fuel. So when we are going to warp 6, warp 7, we're not going to be that far behind the curve. And it's only going to be for a certain period of the game that we're kind of in that before we get the engines that will be more cost effective than what everyone else is using anyway, until we get to the Interstate 10s. So that is going to be our setup. Not bad at all. This is a little more complicated, and I need to kind of look at my notes for this one, because there's a certain way of getting the points I need here. But I need to come back to this, actually. I need to do this. No, I need to do this first. This needs to go to 19. That's going to put us in a hole. We're about to get even further in a hole. So we want a couple extra resources every year from 10 factories. That's going to snowball like crazy. That's going to help us on resources. It's going to help us with our research later down the line, and we're going to need that for the next step. We're going to Is it 9 or 8? It's 8. So we need to have over 400 here. This goes up to, I think this is 19.2. Yeah, this is 19.2. Then we hit that. That takes us over 600. Mines require 3, I believe it is. And then it's either 15 or 16. It's 16. So at the end of this, we should be a Boeing 747. Beautiful. I might have got 2 things wrong, they bounced up, but I think this is right from what I read. And then weapons are going to be cheap. Everything else, we're hamstringing ourselves on research. And more to the point, we're not even going to do research early on. And that's going to seem weird, but we'll explain why when we're in it. But trust me, we're going to do this. Everything's going to start at tech level 3, apart from weapons, which are going to start at 1, I think. Maybe 0, but I think 1. And we're going to catch up mid to late game and surpass everybody if I play the game right, which is another question after 15, 20 years, all on its own. But I think we're right. Can't remember the amount of points, but 747 before this screen, which we're at, after setting that to 19, I think we're right. So right now we'd be, very good. We can colonize a lot of planets. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. This needs to be 10 to 90, which is only 5 clicks. We're basically giving ourselves just the most chance we can with radiation. That's all it is. Now, this isn't really skewed in the middle. It is totally random. So we could earn some points. But I don't know. I don't know if I like that or not. You can also go to 88 and mess around with the temperature more. But I remember 10 to 90. And then basically we want these bars kind of in similar places so that 15% shift that we can do is going to bring almost every planet into the radiation, about half of the planets into the temperature, and about half the planets into gravity, and we'll be in a good place then for finding places to live and new colonies. So I think this is it's around 130 to 530. So if I go to about, that might be it. That actually might be it. Yeah. Okay. And then this one, I know is down this way, but I'm not sure how much. But it's gonna end up on like 9 points, I think. I think it's 9 points. So I think it's something. It's a smaller bar than that. It's almost the same as that one, I think. Probably another couple of clicks. That's 0 points. I think it's that because 56 and 536. Okay. I remember something then, 28, 28. I think that's it. There's no point difference in those. But okay. So 1 in 9 planets, but we'll get an early tech, and that will immediately help us out. I say early tech, but early-ish tech. So let me just double check I got everything right. Surface minerals, claim adjuster, improved fuel efficiency, no RAM scoop, basic remote mining, star bases, low starting population, a high gravity, low temperature, wideband radiation, 19% growth rate, 12 resources, 8 to build, 19 factories. They cost less uranium. We'll just get a high concentration of uranium on our home planet, so it doesn't really matter. But that might help our colonies as well. Mines are really cheap to build, and they can operate up to 60 mines. That's going to snowball us to overcome this tech disadvantage. The growth rate's going to overcome the starting population. This is going to help us defend new colonies. These kind of play off each other to give us good engines for most of the game. We don't care about remote mining. We terraform the hell out of everything. I think we're good. Okay. So now we set up our advanced game. And yeah, so galaxy clumping, I think, is just how much it clumps, basically. Are there clumps of stars together and whatnot? I'm going to do player public scores. We're going to be able to see what the AI scores are. And no random events would mean no mystery trader, so that's a no button right there. And we don't want maximum minerals or slower tech. We've already slowed down our tech, and maximum minerals would just give other people an advantage over us, I would say. So I don't think there's anything to do there. I think it's just player scores. And now this is the bit that gets interesting, because I've got to remember who we're playing against. So I think it's the Rototills. If I'm correct, the Rototills are a claim adjusting race like ourselves. So this gives us a like for like. And then I think the Turin drones are the human-ish race. They're the jack of all trades. If we were to add a third, I think it's the inner strength, which is either the automatrons or the Masintis. And the other one, I think, alternate reality. But we're just going to play with the two. It's a small galaxy. This is kind of what they recommend, 2 players. So if I've got this right, we'll be a claim adjuster. We've got a claim adjuster against us. And then we've got the humans as kind of the baseline factor in there. So we don't have to play against someone that's just flinging packets at us for no good reason, or is expanding at a crazy level. Important to double check. They are computer players. They're on standard. That's fine. We're going to bump this up to 75% of planets, 24 techs in 5 fields, and has the highest score after 500 years. We're not going to get to 500 years, but I do like to have 2 selected criteria, so you can kind of decide if someone's got one of these, we can decide that they've won without the game telling us. But it just doesn't end early for no reason. We're going to go to 150 years. We're going to create the game, and this is the interface. So that is actually where we're going to leave it for now. I'll zoom out. You can see we actually see the entire map almost. Not quite, but almost. As things stand just on default zoom, we'll look around it. But we do have our own planet, and yeah, pretty much as I thought. So I'll explain in the next one, but thank you very much for sticking with me. I hope you're going to enjoy this little mini-series. I'm going to enjoy playing it and have some nostalgia. And like I say, it is a free, abandoned game with serials you can use if you need them to play multiplayer with friends. So if you like it, go ahead, check it out. and I'll try and remember to leave links to where you can go find information on the game. But until then, thank you very much for stopping by. I really appreciate the support, as always. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you played this game before or remember it, how was your experience? How experienced are you? Do you have a certain way of playing you like to play? Because I've found a lot of people are hyper expansionists, and I'm interested to see whether my comment section would be the same. Any alternate reality slash claim adjusters out there? Because those are my two. So that would be kind of cool to see where people lie on that spectrum of things. And if you did play it back in the day, did you play by email? Because I never got round to doing that, and I don't know if I'd ever want to. But yeah, I'm not that good at the game. I just have a better idea now than I had back then, by far. So we'll see how it goes. But let me know comment section down below. As I say, let me know what you think. Hit that like, hit that comment, hit that subscribe. Check out the other playlists as well we got on the channel. We've got a few going at the moment, and a few that have recently finished. Check out the memberships if you're available. Yeah. Yeah. If you're available to get a membership, then I'd appreciate it. It's not needed, but it is appreciated. And like I say, I really love the support and this community that we're building bit by bit. So I wanted to show you one of my favorite from back in the day. And I want to do this with a couple of other games, some that are far more up to date than this one. But I wanted to highlight kind of what's led me on my journey as well. So this is one of the first big games I can remember playing. So I think it's a good place to start on that. So I'll see you next time. Till then, take care, stay safe, all the very best to you, and come back soon, because we are on Corvus, and it's time to take on the universe.